cognitive architecture, planes of metacognition, windows into observation and witnessing, a quick walkthrough. We look at a basic stack of perspectives in ascending order of abstraction. Each of these is a vantage point yielding insight when you recognize its presence and invest your attention into it. At the base tier are human embodiment, the framed modalities of our life cycle. 1. We land here into a specific presence, a psychophysical vehicle crafted by nature. 2. We open our eyes, observe and orient to an environment. 3. We open our hearts, impressions and feelings brought in by the environment. 4. In the interplay of insight and feelings, aspirations and potentials unfold. 5. Determinations are concentrated, will and way are asserted. 6. Entering the field of works, engagement in transformation. 7. The aggregation of our yields, the integration and reconciliation of our essence. 8. The culmination and alignment of potentials, the consummation of our life cycle. Then, at the base tier of metacognition, in the octagon of human framings, we were the present, the seer, the feeler, the wisher, the willer, the worker, the reaper, and the fulfilled. Then, to the intermediate plane, the quad of influences, the elemental movers and shapers. First, earth, foundation, structures, blueprint, the subject matrix. Second, water, the flow, the adaptation, the cohesion, the reflective continuum. Third, fire, a reaction, transaction, transmutation, catalytic interaction. Fourth, air, dispersion, coverage, pervasion, relational significance. Then, at the middle tier of metacognition, in the quad of underlying dynamisms, we became the structor, the adapter, the reactor, and the relator. Then we've covered the composite models, the windows of observation. At the baseline, the octagon of human framings. In the intermediate, the cross of elemental dynamisms. Let us then continue into the underlying indivisibles. We meet the base polarity, the root compositors, seer and seen, energy and matter, consciousness and substance, initiator and receptor, giver and taker. In their midst we have the mirror, the threshold membrane, the fields of meetings and becomings, of unions and transformations, where consciousness meets and intermingles with substance. Here we are at the zenith of the tree of becoming. Underneath we have the animating tensions, in and out, expanding and contracting, unifying and specifying, joining and splitting. All of this in the neutral womb of emptiness that hosts the realms of fullness, the primordial hosts of nothing and everything, the preformative fields of existence. Of there the tensions, toward fullness, toward emptiness, inward and outward. Of there the polarized coupling, observing consciousness, creative agency, and formative potential, the receptive fabric. Of them the subject structures, the cohesive adapters, the catalytic transactors, and relational significance. And of there into the concrete process stations and concern domains of our human lives. None of this is a matter of metaphysical speculation. We speak of the composition and deconstruction of the fabric of our consciousness. We recognize these windows, we observe through them, and in that we liberate ourselves from the bondage of these frames. We are not these frames, individually or in diverse combinations. We have no need to assert identity into any of them. These are simply windows into what is, instruments of engagement, facilitating the dissolution of your fractured subject shell and your reintegration back into the fabric of actuality as it is, the dynamisms of existence as they are, without you seeking to manipulate them in your favor with a subjective agenda. Actuality is naturally unveiled with the shredding of the subjective field of distortion. The windows we have discussed, the planes and facets of metacognition, they are there to help you identify the knots of your bondage, to recognize the domains of your conditioning, to help liberate actuality from your subjective grasp. We do not seek to liberate ourselves. We seek to liberate the world from the grasp of our tentacles, and in that our liberation is consequent. There is no you as such that could be liberated. There simply is what is as it is.